Shining in the Darkness is a great dungeon crawler for the Sega Genesis, one that set the foundation for Holy Ark and allowed it to have the scope it had. If I hadn't played through Darkness prior to Holy Ark, there would have been some pushback against this game's design on my end, considering that it's still very get as far as you can get into this dungeon without dying, return to a town and heal, then repeat focused. That alone ended up being my favorite aspect of Shining in the Darkness, but not one that I liked immediately going into the game. It took a while for it to grow on me because you're confined to just yourself for the beginning of the game. That paired with the form of a game that I wasn't at all familiar with or had even dabbled in prior. It was rough. It really only clicked for me when I got more party members and got into the mindset mentioned prior. That being said, Holy Ark starts you off with 3 party members and the numbers grow at a steady pace, so it's a lot more engaging off the bat. Not to mention that Holy Ark is also a lot more approachable because it isn't just one giant continuous tower. In this game, dungeons are separated into multiple locations with varying and unique gimmicks, and more importantly, more than just 2 songs. This change alone made attempts feel a lot different, and I'm hesitant to say more meaningful, because in Darkness, getting to a new floor elicited a neurological response that I've never experienced in a game since, and probably never will. That isn't to say that it's any less impactful here, it's just different. I can best relate it to completing a dungeon in a normal turn-based RPG, just with more oomph. Something else that I had to get used to was the overworld. It's incredibly small, and while I really wished that it was more than just a JPEG, albeit a really good-looking one, above all else, I wished it was just bigger. I think in my head I imagined some overworld akin to Shining Force 2's, and as cool as that would have been, it dawned upon me that this is just a better and more expansive take on Darkness's map. After exiting a few dungeons, I came to realize that the primary focus of this game was the dungeons, which, in retrospect, no fucking shit, and also it's functional for what the game is trying to be and completely mitigates any flack the game might have carried by having one. Plus, for the first time ever, I think I liked a JPEG overworld, which is insane if you know me. My problems with them usually start and end with the ones that try to do a lot with their world building, as it tends to be pretty immersion breaking. But since the story here, as per Camelot fashion, exists just to be present and provide context to your actions, I don't mind it at all. Plus, it's pretty cozy. I fucking hate that word with all of my life, but it's just a small area somewhere. I don't fucking know where. I can't tell you where I'm at in these towns though. Heaven. This is drop-dead gorgeous and easily some of the most beautiful visuals I've seen in a game. I remember first getting to Desire Town and looking beyond the trees and just staring at how vast this world is. I have a preference for wide open fields surrounded by mountains, that and forest. Really weird, and maybe it's because I live in the flat, swampy shithole that is Florida, and delusions of seeing these places in the real-life game only exist in my wildest dreams, but it is actually beautiful. I think another thing it has going for it is the mix between the pre-rendered sprites of the villagers and trees, contrasting against the 3D houses and other objects. I can't ever find a way to describe it, as it's just enigmatic to me. But at times it feels like home, and while the game is not scary by any means, I don't know why this cave actually made me sweat in fear. Something about seeing Basso's sprite when you turn the corner actually gave me chills. He's not even scary, he's just a fucking dragon guy. And it's not even like this is the first time seeing him, because prior to this there was a cutscene with him in the first town, and he later even temporarily joined my party. But something about that scene in the dungeon was just terrifying to me. Felt like something was going horribly wrong. I felt an impending doom. No, I did not have a fucking heart attack. Those 2 vastly different experiences lead me to believe that it's a fascination that drive me towards these visuals. It just looks like a fake video game. I don't know how to describe it. I'm seriously at a loss for words. And besides, I don't even know what's worse. The fact that this was scary to me for some unknown reason to begin with, or the fact that I knew that I was going to write this part before I even started writing the script and still chose to describe the visuals as heaven. Extremely concerning behavior. The fairies added a lot to this game for me. And while functionally not my favorite system in the world because it's relatively bare bones and just boils down to QTE right as the battle transition begins, all for the sake of some extra damage at the start of a battle, I like the inclusion because, as many of my friends might have guessed, they're just more knickknacks for me to collect, which I'm now beginning to realize is probably why I love Camelot's games so much. The Golden Suns with the Djinn, Shining Force had the optional characters akin to a lesser Suikoden, and this has fairies. It's still a good system, just one that's non-intrusive, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because even though the fairies don't add much functionality to the game, the combat is as amazing as you would expect a Camelot RPG to be. The marquee feature here is being able to switch party members during your turn without any punishment, which I utilized a lot during most of the boss fights. Sticking to just one party of 4 would have resulted in me going back to towns constantly, as I didn't want to waste any of the MP restoration items until later in the game. Plus, doing this created a dynamic where if I switched around my party members properly, I wouldn't have to exit the dungeon to heal up as much because I distributed the MP usage throughout the party and could press on for just a little longer. I'm always for using all the party members in an RPG if I'm able to without punishment. And because the ones that aren't being used still gain XP at the end of battle, it's a win-win, and it diversified the combat a lot, especially since I tried to make sure that every single one of my party members had the best gear possible at any given point in the game. It's kind of a strange thing for me to suggest that traversal might be something worth avoiding, but it's fundamentally about me not wanting to waste time and backtrack when not needed. I still experience the dilemma where I ask myself if it was worth teleporting out of a dungeon to save and buy new shit, but I have to walk all the way back, or if it was better for me to press on and hopefully finish, but risk dying and losing half of my gold. Speaking of functionality, God, the frame rate in this game is just horrible. Even though it doesn't really matter to me all that much, I won't lie and say it doesn't get annoying when battles take a lot longer because there's an extra wall or two in the background that drops the game to 5 FPS. That being said, fun life hack for anyone watching if you, for some reason, haven't played this game that probably sold 5 copies on a device from the 90s that failed in America. If you want to speed up the process of healing in between battles, look directly at a wall, and the game runs at a higher FPS. You're welcome. It's all because the company's name has fucking Sonic in it. I knew it! Shout out to the person that ripped this version of the soundtrack with the battle theme that sounds like this.